And welcome. This is Mike Lodge. I am the business advisor. I want to talk about two subjects today. Notice how I just rolled right into it. Didn't say how beautiful it is outside or anything. I'm just rolling right into my two topics. And I want to talk one about the Biden economic situation that we have, because he just came out today in a press conference and gave this whole speech, one about Roe v. Wade, and then about how great he was as a president because he was able to reduce the deficit. Unfortunately, the economy is not about just the deficit. The economy is about what you and I are experiencing today with inflationary situations. Gasoline is up, our food is up. Watermelons are now $10, $10 a watermelon. Everything, even our heating prices and air conditioning prices for our homes are going up. And that is what we measure how Americans are feeling, you and I are feeling, and how we are able to survive. We know that some of you have gotten raises out there, but inflation came along and literally destroyed all of whatever raise that you thought you got. And it's based upon, this inflation is based upon, because it started back in early 21, where the president took his pen and began to marking things off that he did not like, he thought was political, because his decision making was political. It wasn't about what was good for America, what is working in America, what is needed in America. No, it was about politics. And so those decisions that he made at the very beginning set off inflation. And when he goes out and only talks about what good things he has done, but he doesn't have a plan for the economy, we know that we're in trouble because we don't have anybody in charge in the White House. I've come to the conclusion that there is so much wrong with the way the Biden White House thinks about the economy, that they will not do anything that's right for Americans to help the economy. And one of them could be, okay, let's talk about production of gases. Okay, in his argument is, well, there's lots of licenses out there. There are licenses, but there's very little permit to drill. And several of those licenses are in legal dispute because of the Biden administration's policies. So when we see prices rise, it's because a bad decision was made. And that's what Joe Biden has done. He's made some very bad economic decisions. In fact, I honestly believe he has been in politics for over 40 years. He has never built a company. He's never done anything to hire individuals. He doesn't know what the economy is about. In fact, even his housing expenses, the majority of it was picked up by the United States American taxpayer. If you look at where he lives at as vice president for 8 years, you and I paid for all of his meals. We paid for all of his house cleaning. We paid for all of his air conditioning bills, all of his heat. We paid for everything, even for portions of his clothing. We paid for it all. He hasn't had to pay anything. He does not know what it's like because his son, I guess, takes care of all of the finances for all the houses and everything else that they own. So he doesn't understand how the economy works. He has been in the Senate for so many years. He's eaten at the same Senate dining room. And everything has been provided, even his medical insurance has been provided to him for free. All of his staffing at the vice president mansion was provided not for free, but by the American people. He doesn't understand what it takes to build something like you and I do. If we want to go out and we want to build a company, what do? We go out there and we do it. And we hire people and we make payroll and we do the taxes and we do everything. We design our products. We promote our products. We do everything. And a part of how we run our business is based upon how the economy is doing. And do we have enough supplies to meet the demand? And when the supply chain gets cut off, we have a problem. So what do we have to do to make up what we've lost because we don't have enough supply? We have to raise prices. And you and I suffer. And our clients suffer if you're in that business. We have a president who does not know what he is doing. So I put out a notice today saying to all businesses, because after listening to his press conference, I put out a notice saying businesses have got to restructure. They've got to readjust how they're doing business now. They've got to look at other supply chains. They've got to look at doing things themselves. They've got to look at their staffing needs. They've got to look at how to raise their income levels if at any way possible. They have got to adjust to meet this recession that's coming upon us now. So if you own a business, I want you to really think about that. And if you need help, just let me know, and we'll sit down and we'll scrub your financials to see exactly where you stand at the moment. But we need to readjust. We as businesses, and I'm doing it myself, I'm adjusting all the time because things change in my industry. And I have to look at things in a different way. So, you and I, we have to adjust. So based upon what the president has said this afternoon, I have no confidence that he knows what he's doing or his staff know anything about the economy or how to improve the economy. The other issue is that the feds are so bloody slow at doing anything. They should have raised rates way at the very beginning. When you and I started to talk about inflation a year ago, that's when they should have said, okay, we need to do something. But instead they said, no, we'll just wait. The inflationary is fine. It's not going to go anywhere. Even the Treasury Secretary came out and said, oh, no, we're not going to have any inflation. It's not going to last very long. Well, now we know that it's going to last a long time. And now that inflation has now gone into recession, we are in trouble. So we have to adjust. You and I, in our personal lives, in our business lives, we have to adjust. So that's what I'm saying about Biden's press conference today. It's nonsense. Now, I wanted to talk about Roe versus Wade v. Wade. This means something very much to me, and I'll tell you the reason why. When I was born to two parents that did not want me. They did not want me. But they decided not to abort my life. And they could have run down to Mexico because they were in San Diego at that moment. They could have run down to Mexico and aborted me very quickly. But they said, no, we believe in the sanctity of life. We believe in life. The man was a military officer in Camp Pendleton, and the woman was a local girl in town. And they went to the chaplain of the military base. And they said, listen, we have a little baby and we need to put it up for adoption. And so my uncle, always call him Uncle Cece. Camelia's Commodore was Uncle Cece. He said, I know of somebody who needs that baby. And so they called up to my parents up in Yakima, Washington, and he goes, listen, I have a little baby boy here. Would you like him? Immediately they got into that car and they drove from Yakima, Washington all the way down to Camp Pendleton and picked up the baby. My first bed was a chest of drawers. I was in the chest of drawers. That was my first bed being born. Now, I think about that every time my birthday comes along. I just had one in March. And every time I come along, I always give thanks to God. I said, you know what? I'm still alive. You gave me life and I'm still alive. You told my birth parents, don't abort him. Somebody needs that baby. So when I talk about Roe versus Wade, I'm always thinking about my own life experience, what happened to me. I am an adopted baby. And there's a whole bunch of families out there that needs adopted babies. But when you have a weak law that went before the Supreme Court in the 70s, And we had just come out of this period of time in American history where we got out of, was getting out of Vietnam. We were getting out of war. People were coming down off of LSD. I mean, it was a bad time. The 70s was a bad time. I remember it well. And even if you look at the individual who filed that case, who was a plaintiff on that case, she later came out and said, I wish I would never have done it. So I think about that every birthday and I say, thank God that my parents gave me life. I do not believe in abortion. There are other answers to problems, other alternative ways to go, other options that can be done. Not just to kill a baby that's living inside that mom. Gosh, we're coming across Mother's Day here pretty soon, and we're talking about abortion and getting rid of babies, getting rid of motherhood. So when we talk about this decision that came out of the Supreme Court, I support it. I also know that it did not stop abortion altogether, because there will be states out there, because they want to take that law down to the state level and let the states decide. There will be states that will approve abortion. And those are the states that people will go to abort babies. So I know that this court case did not end abortion. And it probably never will end abortion. But I can tell my story that my life meant something to my birthing parents. And they said, I will give him a chance. Abortion is an evil thing. It's a disgusting thing. We have got to change our ethics on life. We have got to really look at what life is about and what it can be for people if they're given the chance to live. That's all that I'm going to say about that today. Listen, if you would like to know more about me, go to my website at www.lodge-co.com. Again, that's www.lodge-co.com. If you want to read my blogs that I put out there I try to do it every single day, go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Michael Lodge. Again, that's buymeacoffee.com/Michael Lodge. If you want to help me out there, I'd greatly appreciate it. If you want to support my podcast there in my blogs, support me there. It's great. I would greatly appreciate it. But I really want people to understand that inflation and the economy is due to bad decisions. Abortion is due to bad decisions. So you and I, we've got to work on our ethics of how we look at things, how we think of things, how we think before we talk and before we make decisions. I love America, and I think you do too. We all do. But we as Americans have to take the responsibility of focusing on ethics in our lives and where we go from here on. Listen, if you have any questions, send me an email at info@lodge-co.com. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what your experiences were. If you are adopted, if you were almost to be aborted, I want to hear your story. Send it to me, and I'll talk about it on the podcast. This is Mike Lodge. I'll talk with you soon. Everybody go out and have a great day. We're halfway through the week. We're almost there. Let's go out and have some fun. This is Mike Lodge. Bye-bye.